presenting geography. Yeah, I'm taking you through geography paper 1, that is 312-1. I've organized my presentation into 4 sections. One is the structure of the paper, that is the format of geography paper 1. Then the instruction to candidates. Yes, the instruction to candidates, and then the language of examination, and then the third one, the fourth one is some examination tips. Yeah, let me begin with the structure of the paper 312-1. This paper has 2 sections, A and B, and the time allocated to candidates to do the paper is 2 hours and 3/4. That is approximately 33 minutes per question. Section A usually comprises of short structured questions from different topics, which has a total of 25 marks. That is question 1 to 5. Then section B has 5 questions, where question 6 is compulsory, usually on map work. This has been there for over the years. It has not changed. And then after doing question 6, students are supposed to answer 2 other questions from the remaining 4. Since 2017, questions and answer sheets are put together, while previously the answer sheet used to be separate and the question paper from the question paper. Question 7 to 10 usually test a single topic, but in some cases topics overlap. For instance, topics that have been tested in both paper 1 and paper 2 are introduction to geography, the first topic in form 1, statistics in some papers. It has also been tested in paper 1, for instance, question 8 in 2007, question 7 2011, and question 2 in 2008, all of which were on climate, where students were supposed to do some statistics and also draw some graphs, specifically bar graphs, simple bar graphs. Fieldwork is also tested in both paper 1 and paper 2, so it overlaps. And forestry and vegetation also overlap, where vegetation is a topic in paper 1, but sometimes forestry is also integrated alongside vegetation. For instance, in 2014, types of natural forests was asked in paper 2, question 2A, and the answers required were even from vegetation, which is a paper 1 topic. Then the second part is examination instructions. Usually on the cover page, there is a list of instructions such as write your name and index number, sign and write the date of examination, but I'm more interested in the part that tells the students how to answer the questions. For instance, answer all the questions in section A in the spaces provided at the end of the question 10, answer question 6 and any other 2 questions from this section, that is a B, in the spaces provided at the end of the question 10. My advice to candidates is that read these instructions carefully because they guide you on how you are going to tackle the paper. There are also question instructions which are found in the question paper before every question. These spell out actually the task to be undertaken by the candidates. Questions are set based on specific objectives as stated in the geography syllabus, where you find terminologies like state, define. So usually these are written in bold and sometimes italics, so pay special attention to these ones. Read the questions carefully to understand the task, and then as you go through the questions, dissect the questions into constituent parts to find out what is expected of you, underline the key parts of the question. Terminologies used in paper 1. There are various terms, like I have stated, which are derived from the syllabus objectives. These include define. When you come across the term define, this requires you to give a precise meaning of the term or a phenomenon. Confine yourself to the meaning of the term without going beyond. Avoid using the same words of the question as part of your definition. For instance, if you are asked to define natural vegetation, it is wrong to say that this is a vegetation which grows naturally. The correct answer should be, it is a plant cover which grows widely in a place. Another question in 2018, paper Paper 1, question 1, define the atmosphere. It is wrong to say it refers to the atmospheric gases surrounding the Earth. The correct answer is it is a layer of transparent gases and other substances surrounding the Earth. Other terms that require one to define are what is. For example, in question 7A, Roman 1, 2018, paper 1, what is a rock? Give is also used. For instance, give the meaning of climate. Then the second term is name. When you are required to name, it requires you to itemize or write one by one. For instance, name 3 types of folds. So this is just requires you to give names without any further clarification. Like if you are told to give types of folds, let's have simple symmetrical folds, overfolds, overthrust folds, recurrent folds. Name 3 major earthquake zones of the world. That's another example. Name 2 types of landslides. Name the 3 types of river erosion. Name 4 layers of the atmosphere. So those just require the candidates to itemize one by one without elaborating. Other terms that require one to itemize include list, mention, what. Examples: mention or list 4 layers of the atmosphere. What are the 4 layers of the atmosphere? Then the third term is identify. This requires you to pick one out of several items. For example, identify 2 characteristics of sedimentary rocks. So you just pick out of the 4 main characteristics of sedimentary rocks and list them down. For instance, they are stratified. State. This requires you to express the answer by putting it in a full grammatical sentence, not a phrase. The length of the statement depends on the question. For instance, state 3 factors that influence climate on the Earth's surface. State the characteristics of the Mediterranean vegetation. So those require you to give answers in sentences that are grammatically correct. Like if you are told state 3 factors that influence climate on the Earth's surface, one of them is ocean currents. You say areas that are near coasts have their climates modified by the ocean currents, either being made warm or rainfall is received from those coastal areas. The fourth term is describe, which requires you to give a picture or an idea of how something looks like, that is in terms of its nature, form, and characteristics. Describe is commonly used where information of a geographical feature is asked in question 1. So this requires one to give an idea about how the phenomenon occurs. So for instance, describe the formation of a crater. Describe the distribution in the area covered by the map. Explain. This is used to ask for reasons. It requires one to answer the question how or why. If the question is asking why, then you need to give reasons. And where the question is asking how, then you need to narrate the occurrence of the phenomenon in the question. A point of note: sequence of steps is critical when narrating, for instance, the formation of a feature. In the cases above, identify the phenomena, then explain it in detail. Explain, for instance, explain 2 factors influencing climate. So you are required to name the factor, then narrate how it influences climate of a place. Another example, explain how Lake Victoria influences the climate of the surrounding areas. How is a parasitic cone formed? So this one goes straight to use the term how. This requires you to explain in detail. This was in question 3B, paper 1, 2011. A point of note: explain is used synonymously with describe. In such cases, you have to narrate the occurrence of the phenomena in the same way you describe a summation or occurrence. For instance, explain how a parasitic cone is formed. This requires you to give sequence of steps that start from magma below the Earth's surface, due to pressure, due to high temperatures. Then the lines of weakness occur in the crustal rocks due to Earth movements. Then the magma forces its way through the lines of weakness to the Earth's surface, where it forms a volcanic core. Then at the summit of the volcanic cone, due to contraction as magma cools, a funnel-shaped crater is formed. And then subsequently, magma forces its way through the blood and then finds an alternative passage where it flows on the side of the volcanic cone to form a small cone on the side, which is known as the parasitic cone. And the term differentiate or distinguish requires one to bring out the difference or distinction between a given set of terminologies or phenomena. For instance, explain the differences between a watershed and a catchment area. It is advisable to start with the first term, followed by the second, as they appear in the question. The term contrast is used in the same way as differentiate and distinguish. The difference can be expressed by identifying the features or characteristics that bring out the differences between the two features. And in the case of terminologies, these could be brought out by definition of each term. The difference should be clearly stated and have to be given in the order in which they appear in the question. Examples of questions that require you to distinguish or differentiate are: distinguish between extrusive and intrusive rocks. You can answer it by use of the characteristics. For instance, extrusive rocks are fine textured, while intrusive rocks are coarse textured. Extrusive rocks form on the earth's surface, that is, on the earth's surface, while intrusive rocks form beneath the earth's surface. You can also say extrusive rocks are fine textured, in case you write an incomplete statement which doesn't bring out the difference between the two terms, that is considered as wrong. For instance, if you say extrusive rocks are fine textured while intrusive rocks are not, that is an incomplete statement because one side of the question is not addressed. The other term is state reasons or give reasons. This requires you to provide explanations for what you are asked. For instance, give 3 reasons why it is necessary to study the plate tectonics theory. Paper 1, question 1, 2008. Then the term compare. This requires you to state similarities and differences. And if the question requires you to give similarities, only state characteristics or features that are the same. The term outline requires the candidates to give a layout or summarize the essential points without elaborating. Answers are the same as those for state or just use of phrases. For instance, outline the process through which the most weeds shown go through to eventually become dry weeds. These were especially true paper 1, 2009, where candidates were given a diagram showing a mountain or highland, and then most weeds on one side, which eventually become dry weeds on the other side. So these require them now to outline the process, to summarize the essential points without elaborating, to show how the warmest winds rise up, they are cooled vertically, and then on reaching condensation level, they form clouds, and then rain falls on the windward side. And when the winds cross to the leeward side, they are dry. And so, as they descend the highland, they bring more rainfall because they have shared the moisture on the windward side. Outline the steps followed when measuring humidity using hygrometer using special Geography 2009. So it requires candidates to apply in steps how humidity is measured using the instrument. Then questions requiring candidates to sketch are common in map 1 in paper 1. This requires the candidates to draw a simple diagram, for example, in enlargement and reduction. Then there are also questions that have multiple tasks in one. You must address all the tasks in your responses. For example, explain 3 factors which have influenced the distribution of settlements in the area covered by the map. So in this question, the factor must be mentioned, then followed by how it influences distribution, and then an explanation. For instance, you could say the steep slope, which is the factor of the land, has led to few settlements, that is distribution, few settlements. because construction of houses is difficult. That is the explanation. So these are 3 tasks in one, and the candidates must address the 3 tasks for them to be given credit.